Nothing Worthwhile, the recognized symbol of excellence in crappy podcasting.
I'm Evan Moody.
I'm Andy Gruthius.
And I'm Ryan Rebalkin.
And you're listening to Nothing Worthwhile.
With Moody and Gru.
And Rebalkin.
It's finally here. Rocky 3 opens today.
Anthony, you get the tickets to Rocky 3 before it gets sold out.
I got sunshine.
Yo, Adrian!
Your people have adopted Rocky Balboa as their new god and savior.
You're not here to see Rocky, are you? You're not made for Rocky. Rocky's made for guys like me.
Today is about you and your relationship, the one and only.
Oh my God!
Soph.
Tony! Hey, do you remember we saw Rocky 1 together here with our dads?
Yeah.
Rocky always reminds me of you.
Dirty! Stay in Rocky, all right?
Santo!
Get out of here!
These are characters, heroes, who inspire us to be courageous. I'm going to Sophia's Sweet 16 to tell her happy birthday, to tell her I love her.
I remember like if it was yesterday.
It's weird in the air tonight, guys.
Summer of 1982.
Everybody's going bananas.
I got so much energy, I don't know what to do with it.
Me too.
What a movie, huh? Toughest always win.
Nah, Frank. Yeah, the biggest heart wins.
We never think we're good enough. We're always getting pushed around because we're afraid. Afraid of what people would think, what they'd say. I don't want to be afraid anymore.
Is this not the greatest night of all time, or what?
Then I went and finished season 4 of Cobra Kai, Andrew. Do you guys want to comment right now? Apparently, Adele got Sylvester Stallone's mansion on a. I'm looking at this on my phone. A steal. Stallone put up his mansion for $110 million, and she bought it for $58 million. You guys are, very much Sylvester Stallone fans. Any comments on Adele purchasing Sly's mansion somewhere? Beverly Hills.
I'm actually surprised she needed a house that big, considering how much weight she's lost.
Hey-o!
Yes, she did lose a lot of weight.
She looks fantastic. Good for her.
It's just the rich getting richer.
Well, don't you think? Actually, I was thinking about this. I was walking the dog, Braxton Moody, on the floor, a.k.a. Puppy Shango, show mascot, sleeping peacefully during that podcast.
Oh, he's back to Puppy Shango?
Doggy Shango. Yes, he's over a year old. But I was thinking about this. Is this not Stallone cashing out to get generational money? Like, I thought about, Springsteen selling his catalog. Aren't these guys? I'm really being serious. They're over 70, and they want to make sure that their kids and their kids perhaps never have to work a day in their lives.
I would suspect, being that Stallone is 75 years old, that he has a will in place. Of course, that will has probably been in place for many years, but I suspect, yes, natural old age will take him eventually. The body can only last so long. So that being said, yeah, I agree. I think he's setting up his finances and such for his wife, who'll outlive him probably by 20 years as well, right? So
at least.
Yeah. Good for him. If they don't need that big mansion, sell it, and if somebody wants to buy it. Yeah.
It's also a buyer's market right now. Real estate is.
Thank you, Andrew.
Real estate is
scintillating. Real
no,
estate.
but I remember the headline. The headline for, I think it was yesterday or the day before. The headline was like, she got like a discount. I'm like, if you're famous, you get the celebrity discount on a $75 million mansion.
Apparently, he put it on the market for 110, and she got it for 58. So I guess, relatively speaking, that's a steal. I mean, that's mathematics that are beyond my finances. But,
is he moving? Is he moving out of Florida, or do we know?
I have no idea, but I think probably you're right. I mean,
before we secede from the union, he's moving. Yeah.
All right, please. Enough of your ancillary political commentary. That all right, but anyway, listen, everyone. Welcome live via Zoom. We are America's #1 bi-coastal podcast featuring two annoying Jews and a friend. Let's cut right to it. It's our first ever two-time special guest host, the head muckety muck of the last of the Action Heroes podcast network, the COO, the Vince McMahon, the Dana White, the Dave Portnoy. He's got the
George Washington Duke.
Mr. Ryan Rebalkin. Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing great, guys. I'm very happy and very excited to be here. I just want to say, I'm going to blow some smoke up your two old butts here because I love your show. I do. And I stumbled on you guys through your socials. I go on Twitter all the time, and I always do like Rocky movie search, and people that follow me on Twitter will see that. I'll comment on people's like, oh, I stayed up night watching the Rocky Marathon, and I'll comment. Of course, I'm plugging the podcast by commenting on people's stuff because they've made it public, right? So I'm saying, hey, that's great. I hope you enjoyed it, or it sounds like a fun night, and people fall back, and it's fun. So you guys did this a while back. You, of course, had your podcast, Nothing Worthwhile, and you said, oh, we're reviewing the Rocky films. And so often what I'll do is I'll listen to other people's podcasts and see how they do covering a film that I've already covered in the podcast that I do. And I just loved how you guys were. I was like, oh, these guys are funny. I like how they do things. I like how they're just, I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say not polished because that's part of your charm. I like that you're just you guys. I don't know how to say it. And then as I got to listen to more of your episodes, I got to know your characters, and then I reached out to you, said, hey, I like what you have. And you came on my other show, The Worst of the Best podcast, where we covered Bon Jovi over 3 episodes. You guys were fantastic. You guys are just,
that was fun.
I just like the cut of your jib. I just really do. And then I invited you on the last of the Action Heroes podcast network to do the Van Damme movies. And I couldn't be prouder or happier to have you guys on board, and that you guys even, took a chance on me because I'm a nobody. Like at the end of the day, I know you guys are fooling around saying I'm CEO of nothing, but I'm just, I appreciate you guys, and I think you guys are great.
You know, I'm going to be really serious for a second. It does talk about the power of podcasts and social media. Like I really, to be serious, and we'll goof in a little bit, but I think it's completely cool that a fella from Canada heard our podcast. We listened to yours and found some mutual ground. And I couldn't be any happier to meet you. Like I feel like I know you, but we've only spoken, over podcasts a few times. And very, very glad that you reach out to us, and your feedback actually means a lot because I listen to your stuff, and you're a real pro, and we super appreciate it. Andrew, I don't know, thoughts?
Yeah, you've developed quite a network, and you have. Just all this interest in it's really a community where people can go. We love talking about this stuff, and usually we end up talking to the walls about it. So it's really cool what you've done from your roots, and I don't know where you get the time, considering that you're like in the Canadian Army on the other side of the world for months at a time and all. But power to you, man, and thank you for opening up this world for us.
Thank you, appreciate it, guys.
Well, I mean, I still think, as I was thinking about it, Gru, the genesis, we did some stuff for a while on YouTube, kind of informal. It's been fun to listen to the sort of how we've evolved, so to speak, little segments and a little bit of production and things of that nature. But, I'd go to Gru's apartment on a Sunday night to watch a wrestling pay-per-view, and we'd end up talking about, is Stormfront a classic Billy Joel album for 3 hours? We wouldn't even watch the show, and then we said we would just enjoy talking about nothing of really any relevance, so to speak, and we could kill 3 hours, and that's sort of what the idea behind the podcast. So we super appreciate it.
Yeah, it's like
awesome.
We started the same way that we are right now. We spend 2.5 hours talking about nothing and 5 minutes talking about the actual topic. And it's terrific.
Yeah. Exactly.
We've established a real great niche here.
Well, let's establish, Andrew, on the southeast coast, Coral Springs, Florida. It's been a week. Gru, how are you?
All is well. First week back to school, very busy, midterms, but we're weather's great, family's great, health is on the mend, so everything is good. How about in beautiful, cold Phoenix, Arizona? I'm hearing
it is cold. It was like in the 30s. Had to put the heater on. Walking the dog is a heavy chore. Got to put on the jacket and the sweatpants. But everybody's doing well. Yeah, first week back to school. A lot of people out. A lot of people out here in Arizona sick, under the weather. Monitoring situations. But right now, everything is good. Cannot complain.
That's great. Ryan, how you doing?
Say
Ryan,
again?
I said, how are you?
Oh, sorry.
How are you? You were gone for a while.
No, yeah. I was away for 4 months on a deployment. Come back, and I've enjoyed Christmas with the family and friends. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I don't have any friends. Just with the family.
Same with us.
I have to create my own friends with having kids.
That's what's great about this podcast network.
That's right.
We have our imaginary friends. It's great.
That's right. And no, it's been great being home. COVID's running rampant up here. Things are shutting down still. Schools are shutting down or being delayed, but our kids are actually homeschooled, so it doesn't really matter. I'm on a big extended holiday break. I'm actually not really going back to work till the middle of March. So,
nice.
Yeah, that's where that time comes in. There, Gru. That's where my little bit of extra time right now. I do have a little bit of time, so I'm going to podcast like crazy and edit like crazy while I'm off work. Yeah.
Good gig.
Well, hopefully this podcast will go ahead without a hitch. The last two podcasts, I mean, we did a killer podcast on The Wedding Ringer, the Kevin Hart 2013 movie. Yep. We got 42 minutes, and apparently the rest of the podcast is flowing somewhere out in cyberspace.
Side note, guys, I'm recording a backup of this just in case.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
That's my man. Well, listen, fellas, in honor of today's podcast, 2021, This Is the Night, which is an homage to Rocky III. Perhaps it is, perhaps it's not. Let's take a run at everyone's favorite aging action star. I got some Sylvester Stallone trivia. You guys want to take a crack?
I'd love to.
Yeah, we could. I don't want to do a race because I always find I take a second to think. I'm not a buzzer beater guy.
No, we're not doing that. As I said on the pre, we're not. Usually, I agree. We'll do some kind of. I just figured go throw it out there for fun.
Okay.
All right. Question number one. And again, I hope these questions aren't too crappy. The name of Sylvester Stallone's character in Demolition Man.
Oh, I got it.
John Spartan.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah. Okay, number two.
Wait, is that how we want to do this?
I believe me that I had it, but
of course you had. I figured you had it.
No. I'm not very good with names, but could we just talk about Sly's naming of characters in his films?
If you want to riff on it afterwards, yeah, absolutely.
Evan and I have one that we love.
I heard you obviously talking about. I think perhaps our favorite, which is Marion Cobretti, right?
Our favorite is Kit Latura.
Oh, yeah. That is a good one. That is a good one. Why do they do that in movies?
It's awesome.
It's not just Stallone. Why do they do?
Gabe Walker.
Why do they make? Such masculine.
Not as bad as Steven Seagal's though. Mason Storm.
What is the first movie directed by Sylvester Stallone in which he also starred as Cosmo Carboni?
Paradise Alley.
Oh, Paradise Alley, yeah.
I love that movie.
It's very underrated, criminally underrated.
Terry Funk.
Armand DeSante.
And Mitch Moody, my dad's favorite scene is when Stallone hauls the ice all the way up to the building, and it's been so long, and then he just drops it in disgust, let it smash and fall down the stairs. What character did Stallone voice in the animated movie Ants?
Oh, I forgot the name.
I forgot the name too.
I have Weaver.
I wouldn't even. I saw the movie, but I wouldn't even remember that.
We're losing downloads in India. What was Stallone's character's disability in Copland?
He was
slurred speech. Oh wait, that's all of his movies.
He was half hard of hearing.
Yeah. Yes, he was deaf. I believe he was deaf in his left ear. Which Stallone character uses a pair of scissors to cut his slices of pizza?
That's Cobra. Yeah.
Cobra.
That is correct. Very good. Guys, how many times did Sylvester Stallone marry?
3.
2.
That is correct.
Oh, I thought. All right, 3. Who is
3.
it? It's Sasha,
3.
Brigitte. Oh yeah, Sasha, Brigitte, and what's her name? Jennifer Flavin.
Jennifer Flavin.
Flavin.
This is a good one. In First Blood, John Rambo travels to meet a friend from his Special Forces unit, but upon arriving, discovered that his friend has passed away. Does anyone remember the name of said friend?
Delmar Barry.
Oh, good job. Good job.
You're close, Andrew. Got the first name correct. Unless I got it wrong. I have Delmar Murray.
No, it's Delmar Barry.
Yeah,
Barry.
I remember the Delmar, but I forget the last name.
It's Barry. I'm 99.9% sure it's Delmar Barry.
Okay. All right, we'll look it up. We'll look it up later. Fellas, exactly how many seashells replaced toilet paper in Demolition Man?
3.
That is correct.
No.
3. I love that. 3 seashells. What was that with Rob Schneider when he's laughing? I love it. The 3 seashells.
Oh, now I remember that. Yeah, I didn't even remember that part.
I don't think this is a hard one. What does Drago say after Apollo is rushed from the ring severely injured in Rocky IV?
Which version?
Oh, come on, I said in Rocky IV.
If he dies, he dies.
That is correct.
Well, I love the Rocky IV recut where he goes, "They shall know my name,
Drago."
But he says, "I." Doesn't he say that? Oh, he goes, "Draga."
It was from the trailer, I think.
I don't like that he fist bumps Drago because he killed his friend. How does he fist bump him? I don't like that. Gru was like, "Oh, I love it. Such a sign."
I did like it.
I actually agree. I agree. It felt out of place. It did feel out of place. It didn't make sense that he would give that kind of respect that Apollo gives Rocky at the end of Rocky 2. It seemed out of place. There's just 2 different battles. There's 2 different battles going on here. I don't see him hating Drago, but to give that respect, like, hey, you put up a good fight, but remember 2 months ago when you killed my friend? Well, yeah, it was weird.
I got to say one thing. We talked about seeing the movie. We ended up reuniting in New York for a fun little mini vacation, and we go on the couch, and then within 20 minutes, Andrew's sleeping.
Yeah.
What were we watching? What did you put? We wanted to watch something. We were watching something.
I don't know.
No, it was Rocky vs. Drago. It was Rocky vs. Drago. He had never seen it.
Yeah. And he's like, we're gonna, and then like within 20 minutes, I think the pizza and carbohydrates were, he was in a please.
Obviously, by then I had seen it like 15 times already.
What is the name of the priest that Rocky briefly visits on the way to his rematch with Apollo?
Father Carmine.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. And finally, fellas, what was the exact charge against Rambo when he is first arrested by Will Teasel?
Vagrancy,
yeah.
I have possession of a concealed weapon. Didn't Rambo?
That was a charge. That was a charge. I think you're right. I
think they booked him for vagrancy, though. I think they might have booked him for. I remember the term vagrancy was so both then definitely.
But I remember and I remember he did hand the knife to Galt. Brian Dennehy did hand the knife to Galt, and he said carrying a concealed weapon.
Right.
Vagrancy's definitely involved.
All right, Gru, you know what? You book the next segment.
What? You asked the question.
You did a great job.
I'm only joking.
Those are great questions. Just enough to titillate the mind without making me feel too stupid.
Yes.
We each got all but one, I think.
Yeah.
What did you say the guy's name was? Delmar what there?
Barry.
I had Delmar Murray.
It's Barry.
All right.
Yeah.
I hate having to apologize.
If I looked it up and said it, he would have yelled at me.
No. You've done that before. You've looked up stuff and corrected me. That's fine. I hate having crappy research. That does bug me.
You did great.
It does bug me. You know what? I used to start like the following Tuesday after a Saturday or Sunday taping. Now I start on Monday because it's like I don't want to be too overwhelmed. If work is busy. Anyway, nobody cares. On today. Let's see. On today's podcast, we're going to review the 2021 straight-to-streamer movie, This Is the Night, which could be an homage to Rocky III. We want to get the gang's thoughts on This Is the Night in just a bit. Before we get to that, Gru, by the way, when you cue up the music for the week that was, you used to have the one that has like actually nothing worthwhile. The week that was. Now lately, it's just like a news feed.
Yeah, I'll explain that later.
Just explain off the air. All right. Well, anyway, fellas, it's five or six things we're talking about this week. it's nothing worthwhile. The week that was. Oh, am I on? I'll look at the production here. Fellas, the week that was is brought to you by New You Life Center. Listen to me. Marie just left. We all want to look and feel our best and understand it's just a matter of making time and finding the right place to do it safely and effectively. With the proper tools, resources, and support team by your side, New You will customize their products and services to the individual to achieve the results you're striving for. Check them out at their new location, 4515 North 16th Street, Suite 105. That's Phoenix, Arizona. Hit them up on the web, www.newulifecenters.com, or give them a call at 602-274-0068. New location. Tell them Moody and Grew and Rebalkin sent you, and receive a big 15% off your first service. Thank you to Marie and New You. Fellas, wild and strange scene last Sunday as Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver Antonio Brown ripped off his jerseys and pad mid-game, waved goodbye to the fans, and ran through the tunnel, thus ending his employment with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a very strange and bizarre manner. Bucs QB Tom Brady was asked for empathy and compassion towards Antonio Brown after the receiver's shirtless meltdown during Tampa Bay's win over the Jets last Sunday. Quote, I think everybody should hopefully do what they can to help him in ways that he really needs it. TB told reporters, we all love him. We care about him deeply. We want to see him be at his best. Buccaneers coach Bruce Arians said following the game that Antonio Brown would no longer be with the team, and indeed during the week he was cut. Tom Brady helped Antonio Brown get jobs in New England and Tampa Bay. Both of those have now ended in acrimony. Antonio Brown was cut from the New England Patriots after playing one game. The NFL was investigating him at the time for allegations of sexual assault. The following year, he left the Raiders before even playing in one game after a fallout with GM Mike Mayock. This year, Antonio Brown has already been suspended for lying about his COVID-19 vaccination status. Fellows, Antonio Brown abruptly ripped off his shirt, ran up the tunnel in the middle of last Sunday's game at MetLife Stadium. To make matters worse for this New Yorker, the Tampa Bay Bucs rallied late to beat the Jets, moving to 12-4. Gentlemen, very weird scene last Sunday. And is this it for Antonio Brown in the NFL?
I don't think so. Somebody will pick him up because he can still play. But I heard that that the coach had cut him like right there, and that's why he did what he did. What he did was really just attention getting, whoring. But I heard he just left the game left the sidelines because he had already been cut. Is that
no? The coach apparently, it's been rumored that the coach gave him like the Undertaker throat slash and said like,
seriously?
But he was
awesome.
formally cut. He was formally cut, I believe, on Thursday. So
he's obviously a jerk. It's not just that. The other behavior you described. Apparently, he didn't want to go in the game. Well, if you didn't want to go in the game, why are you wearing pads? There's a whole lot of wrong about that whole thing. But let him get his own help. I mean, why all of a sudden are we all, should we help Antonio Brown? No, he's a dick, and he's a rich dick. He can afford his own help. I don't understand why everyone's, it's the whole. Sometimes these athletes just get so big in the head. So I'm on whoever's side is not Antonio Brown's on that one.
Mr. Rebalkin, any comment on Antonio Brown?
Well, I think it's really brave of him that he took off his shirt, which ties into our movie review later on.
Yeah, we're being bitch slapped today,
yes,
Evan.
Yes, I know what you're.
I know exactly what he's referring to.
How about this?
We should have come up with that.
Okay, Andrew, take a breath for a second. What about the notion that Antonio Brown said that he was injured, ankle injury, he had some injuries, and he had said to the coach, I don't feel comfortable going into the game. I mean, I'm just putting that out there.
Then he sprints off the field topless. Doesn't sound like somebody with a broken ankle.
Topless, TOPLESS. He'll do it.
Well, that's my opinion on that. I mean, maybe are we talking about did he get injured during the game or was he injured before the game? Because if he was injured before the game, what is he doing padded up? And then like I said, he runs off the field.
He's claiming that he had gone into the game with injuries and perhaps had communicated to the coaching staff or the medical staff, I'm uncomfortable, I can't play, and then the coach said, get it in the game. He's stating that he said in some form or fashion, I'm not comfortable getting in the game, and the coach was like, throat slash, you're done. And then, of course, he acted, I don't know if inappropriately is the right word, but clearly attention-seeking, rips off his jersey, gums it up for the fans and, runs through the tunnel. Apparently he asked the New Jersey State Troopers for a ride, which they declined, and then he called one of his old pals who was a limo driver, and the guy picked him up, and I guess he's been partying in New York ever since. He was at the Brooklyn Nets game and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I agree. Listen, the guy's not a good guy. I think obviously the injury thing is going to try to be his way to kind of get out of it. You're going to see that, the union's going to get involved, and, perhaps there might be some kind of financial settlement. And yes, I do agree with Andrew. Unfortunately, he's not a good guy. I mean, he really ripped the Raiders real bad. He never even played a game for the Raiders. He apparently, I don't know if you guys remember, he refused to play for the Raiders because the NFL had put out new helmets, supposedly safer, and he wanted his old helmet.
Oh, yeah.
And they said to him, we can't. This is, and he caused such a stink.
He wanted to get grandfathered in.
Yeah, I think it's gonna go to mediation and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I'm sure his settlement will be more than any of us make in our lifetime. So good for him.
Yeah. All right. Fellas, it was announced last Tuesday that Betty White died as a result of, quote, natural causes. Betty died peacefully in her sleep. Her agent, Jeff Widchas, who also is Betty White's closest friend, said in a statement to People. Her agent also shut down a debunked report claiming that White had gotten a COVID-19 booster shot on December 29th. Quote, people are saying her death was related to getting a booster shot 3 days earlier, but that's not true. She died of natural causes. In a new interview with Page Six, Betty White's Mama's Family co-star Vicki Lawrence revealed that the cultural icon called out her late husband, Alan Ludden's name moments before she died. Quote, it's just horrible to see people you love so much go away. Vicki Lawrence, age 72. Wow. Shared. Fellas, Betty White was a Hollywood fixture for more than 8 decades and became a household name thanks to her roles in The Golden Girls and the Mary Tyler Moore Show. News of the 99-year-old's death on December 31st broke out after LAPD officers responded to a 9:30 a.m. call at her home in Brentwood, California. The 8-time Emmy Award winner's death came shortly after she spoke to People magazine for an issue celebrating what would have been her 100th birthday. White told the outlet that she was in good health, later quipping, I tried to avoid anything green. I think it's working. Fans and friends alike paid tribute to the late entertainer who held the record for the longest TV career in Hollywood. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm sure it is. Fellas, thoughts on the passing of a Hollywood great, Betty White?
So did you say that her husband, Alan, or she cried out her husband, Alan's name before she died?
That's what's been reported, yes.
So she was murdered. She was murdered by Alan.
Alan's dead.
Okay.
It's her late husband. So I guess
I know.
Calling it. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say. I was going to say it was in Brentwood, so it might have been OJ.
Oh God!
Shut up, Evan.
I like that's good. Oh,
he gives me nothing. He gives me nothing.
Well, yeah, she's a sweetheart, and you can't say anything bad about Betty, or you're going to be canceled. So,
yeah,
she is a sweetheart, and I've got no qualms with her. I'm not a fan of hers, but anytime I've seen her in stuff, and I did watch Golden Girls like every other person our age. I saw many episodes and enjoyed that. But I'm not a fan. Like, I don't need to see Betty White programs, but when you see her on game shows or a guest host or just in general, she's a sweetheart. She makes you feel good, and we need more of those type of people in our life. So I think that's why her passing kind of affected a lot of people. It's just because you saw somebody that was nice and sweet and humble, in the industry, be that way and never be affected by the industry, pass on, and we just don't have a lot of those people anymore. You talk about this football player to Betty White, 2 different personalities and celebrity, right?
That's a great point. That's a great point, and I really can't say it any better. It's just about the longevity and what makes longevity, treating other people nicely, and just be you look for controversy surrounding Betty White. There is none. She's like Tom Hanks in a way, like somebody who like everybody seems to like. I just think I think People killed her, like People magazine. I mean, Jesus.
People magazine.
I mean, literally 2 days before she died, that People magazine cover came out, like with her on the front saying, "What's it like to be 100 years old?" Well, 2 days later, we found out we're never going to find that out from her. So,
well, are you not aware of the All Madden and the People magazine curse?
No.
I'm joking.
Oh.
I've never heard. I'm joking. I know that there's.
Is that a segue into your next story?
No, I know there's the All Madden curse. You know, if you've been on the cover of All Madden, usually, and I think even Sports Illustrated. I remember reading as a kid. I think there was supposedly, a Sports Illustrated curse, and like the preview issue. If they always put the player on, they usually had a crappy year. All Madden was another one. If you're on the cover of All Madden, you had a crappy year, and apparently now Andrew is investigating.
Now it's the People
magazine.
Now
curse.
It's the People magazine.
Yes,
yeah. But yes, rest in peace, Betty White.
Yes, rest in peace, Miss White. I did watch her Saturday Night Live. She did, I think, like in 2013. She hosted SNL, and that was like great, like Jason Sudeikis class, and
the bullying, bullying one she did.
Yeah.
Didn't she do it? Didn't she host it because like it was a fan, like petition or something? Like everybody wanted her to, like something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Right.
That's pretty
cool.
But
it's funny because the only thing I noticed, like 2013, which is relatively, it's less than 10 years. The humor is so, it's so different. Like a little bit more adventurous, a little bit more, dirty around the edges. Like today, it's very sanitized. Anyway.
Yeah, you don't see too many Comedy Central roasts lately.
No. Let's see, fellas. Hopefully this is a good one, too. Fellas, Netflix Don't Look Up from director Adam McKay features a star-studded cast playing out a satire about the end of the world. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that movie. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Jonah Hill, Meryl Streep. Pretty big cast. Viewers this week found an amazing detail in the movie, which is making them laugh out loud. On Wednesday, several articles came out stating in one particular scene, DiCaprio's character, Randall Mindy, appears in a public service announcement urging Americans to call a phone number, 1-800-532-4500. It was for people who wanted to get peace of mind as a planet-killing comet is hurtling towards Earth. When people actually dialed the number, it led to an apparent adult sexual hotline. Anyone dialing this number is connected to an automated message from a female voice that says, "Welcome to America's hottest hotline. Guys, hot ladies are waiting to talk to you. Press 1 now."
Yes.
Predictably, fans took to social media over the weekend to compare notes. Twitter was flooded with posts relating to the hotline number. People were laughing at the fact that they decided in the movie to put an adult hotline number inside of the movie. Quote, "Kudos to Don't Look Up having a BASH hotline for their asteroid stress prevention hotline being linked to a hot singles in your area phone number. Fellas, it's still unclear if the number was a prank deliberately inserted into the movie or just a coincidence. Viewers who called the number must have had a good laugh when they heard the voice on the other side. Well, I'll throw it to you guys. Thoughts on a sex hotline number inserted into a pretty big movie?
Well,
I would say it was probably by accident. I mean, you got to imagine how many, and I'm actually surprised there's actually any sex hotlines with the internet being the way it is now. Why anyone gets their jollies talking to some 55-year-old 300-pound woman ironing her clothes. I don't know, but that's okay. Everyone, each to their own. But
Andrew,
yes, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Ryan. I have your approval.
But that's fine. Each to their own. I'm not condemning that. I'm just saying I think it was accidental because it's not even that funny. Like it's like okay, it's a sex hotline, sure, haha. But I don't think it's that funny. Or maybe the movie's not that funny, so it's on par for the movie. I don't know. I haven't seen the film.
Did you see the movie?
No.
Okay.
I didn't see it either, and this is the first I'm hearing about it. I thought you were going to talk about the thing where there's a shot where like the whole crew is visible. I did see something like that, but I don't think it was an accident because I've been around those people like script supervisors, like things like that.
Here we go.
Well,
I was a Hollywood guy.
No, they are very meticulous about that. If you haven't noticed, most phone numbers in movies, if not all start with 555. That's because phone numbers are in short supply, and they don't want to put possibly somebody's number on screen. To me, there's no way they had to know. That's my opinion, but they had to know.
No, you're right. If they did know, then it just garners what it did. It garners talk. People talk about it. People then talk about the movie, and you just said so yourself. I didn't know this movie exists. Now you do because of the
it's an innovative advertising campaign, Ryan. that's very innovative. But yeah, I saw that's my opinion on that. That's no biggie. Although I wasn't laughing when I called the number. I was doing something else.
There's so much. There's so much.
300-pound broads ironing their clothes is hot. Man.
There's so much salacious content out there. I mean, is people still doing like phone?
I guess.
Actually, I don't know, Ryan, if you listened to our last podcast, but we talked about Billie Eilish went on the Howard Stern show and said that she viewed pornography at the age of 11, and it like really messed her up. And of course, Andrew went on a very passionate pro-pornography pro-pornography rant, which, by the way, I listened to again, and I was just effing fascinated at Andrew's take. Because, listen, I'll say it. I love porn like probably every other red-blooded guy, but I'll admit it's not for 11-year-olds to be viewing. It's clearly not.
Didn't I say that?
No, it's not.
I think I said that.
I've got a 10-year-old son who's 10 and a half. Or no, he just turned 10.
Is it crazy now? Like being,
I would not want him to watch. I don't want him watching.
No, I mean what I'm saying. I mean, do you have to put like I'm not a parent, so do you put like real stringent controls on social media, and things of that nature?
Yeah, I'm not going to tell people how to parent their kids, but in our house we have no screen time after they go to bed. So older screen devices are on the kitchen table at night. So when we put them to bed, they have no devices. They only have their imaginations, which is fine. That's harmless to me. But yeah, because there's just things on the internet.
Use the spank bank, kids.
Well, yeah, there's just things on the internet that's okay. Look, it's natural to do that. I have no qualms with that. It's just there's dangerous stuff on the internet that I call me a prude, but I don't want to watch. I mean, I don't want to have my young children watching. Use your imagination.
I agree, and the stuff is. I already explained myself on the last podcast.
I couldn't agree more. I think. I think that's a terrific policy.
If I could please just represent Nothing Worthwhile, I want to publicly apologize to all parents. Please don't make a mockery of this apology. Please take it seriously. Yes, thank you for we are with you in your policing and monitoring of your kids, and we do not. I do not condone Andrew Gruthius' statement on the Nothing Worthwhile 1/3/12/22 episode. Thank you. Please don't make a mockery. Please don't make a mockery of this apology.
As we are.
I was only surprised that. Gru didn't mention anything about Billie Eilish herself. I was surprised.
He did.
I can't remember now.
He did. We talked. I mean, we played a clip of her song. I'm not a fan. I'm really not a fan of. I agree with Andrew. I'm not a fan of today's artists, but we played a little bit of her song. I don't know much about Billie Eilish, but
no, I don't know anything about.
And I did and I agreed with her statement in regards to that. But I don't know too much about Billie Eilish. I know that she hosted SNL and she did music, and I did see I didn't see the entire episode. I watched 2 or 3, and she wasn't bad. I mean,
she's only like 18 or 19. I'll be curious to see where she is in 30 years.
What did I say? What did I say about her though?
No, you didn't. No, you didn't bash her.
Oh, okay.
You didn't like her take on what she said. But Andrew and I are not fans. But if I was to riff on what Ryan said, I mean, Ryan, there's no longevity in entertainment like when we were kids. I mean, you're not going to see like Billy Joel and Springsteen, 30, 40, 50-year runs as entertainers. I just don't.
Those days are over. Those days are over.
You know what Chris Rock said? Here today,
gone today. I see. So, if there was one who might have that kind of staying power, Taylor Swift is pretty damn popular out there. I don't see her going anywhere.
Well, yeah, she's been around for a little while already. To her credit, she's probably nearing the 20-year mark almost, or 15-year mark at least. So, yeah.
All right, well, fellas, Jim Jones was a well-known rapper, reality star, and podcaster.
Never heard of him.
Me neither.
Never heard of him. Do you guys want to get a little clip of his song with Migos, "We Set the Trends," or you want me to move on?
No.
You do?
We're here to learn. We're a teaching program.
Okay. Hold on. Let me.
Ryan and I need to be indoctrinated into the world of who?
All right, here we go. Jim Jones and Migos.
Murray. Oh.
I'm talking it up, group. We set the trends.
Trend, bringing it in cash. I'ma have to call my account to make sure the shit came in. It's just me and my gang. Fuck niggas, wanna do friends.
Whoa.
What you say, want smoke?
Okay, everybody. I'm sorry. I please. Well, fellas, Jim Jones was
we just
on
got
Angela
canceled.
We just got on Angela Yee's Lip Service podcast. The Breakfast Club radio host discussed with some of the top personalities in music and entertainment about sex and relationships with her co-hosts. The New York rapper Jim Jones claimed that he learned how to tongue kiss from his mother when he was a child.
Oh, man.
I actually have the clip. Do you want me to cue it up, or you want me just to talk about it?
I don't know if I want to hear him actually say that, but we have to. No, we have to. We cannot be afraid. That's another tie-in to the movie. We have to face our fears. So let's hear it. Let's see it.
Okay, hang on. Give me 1 second.
Dead air.
Another tie-in to the movie. There's mother issues with that.
Can you hear this?
Yes.
Oh, I can't.
I can't hear anything. No.
You guys can't hear it?
You can share the screen with audio.
Okay. Here we go. Sorry.
Then it'll.
Here we go.
That bad
There it is.
from a young age when you have a heroin addiction and you had 3 brothers.
That was cute.
So, what did your mom tell you about sex when you were young?
She told me everything about sex.
Like, wait.
My first condoms, shit like that. My mom taught me how to kiss when I was younger.
What did she tell you to do?
She told me how to tongue kiss when I was younger.
Like, what's the instructions?
It wasn't no instructions. She showed me with her mouth. Like, she
kissed you?
It's my mother.
No, I'm just okay. My parents barely kissed me on the cheek.
I just stopped kissing my son on the mouth. She showed me how to tongue kiss when I was younger. Remember, my mom was 17. She's a baby. Look at all the babies that's having babies now.
Sure.
And look how they act with their babies. It's like they have a little sister or a little brother more than they had.
Did you think tongue kissing was nasty at first? Because the first time somebody tried to tongue kiss me, I thought it was so disgusting.
The first time I tongue kissed a girl,
it was his mother. I thought it was his mother.
Well, it was. It was.
It's not too clear if she actually kissed him or just showed him. It's hard to say. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe she just displayed it in front.
He's saying they had a couple articles. I don't know if I let the whole clip play out, but
okay.
You know, the host Angela Yee, who's she's on Hot 97 Crew in New York. She asked him if she thought tongue kissing was awkward at first. The rapper said a little strange. His mother's kiss on the other hand, did not bother him. Fellas, boy, I feel like this segment's just running like a complete.
Is his mother Bo Derek from Tommy Boy?
No, but thought on moms teaching Jim Jones to kiss. I do want to say that I'm here to admit that my mom taught me how to do taxes. I actually had a grosser joke, which I probably would have said if Ryan wasn't on the show. But
why do you think I'm some sort of moral you're?
All right. Well, if you really want to know the truth, my mom taught me how to do cunnilingus.
There you go.
You know, it was a little. I'm sorry, Mom. Please don't say anything when you go to the club to play clubhouse to play cards.
Hey, like to quote Ferris Bueller's Day Off. To quote Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So that's how it is in their family. Remember that scene?
No, what scene was that?
Remember when the principal is out there with Sloane, the girlfriend, and she's waiting for Ferris to come and pick her up, and but the principal thinks it's her father, and she runs to him, and they French kiss right there in the car, and Rudy's like, so that's how it is in their family, because he thinks it's her father.
Right. All right.
Well, then I'm thinking of the scene in Vacation, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I'm the best French kisser because my dad
says I'm the best at it. That's one of my favorite jokes. Hey, look, to each their own, like Ryan has said, their family's their family. It's gross to me.
Well, I
might
do
not
want to
be
say
to them.
this. When I was a kid, learning about kissing, my mom was a smoker, and I just requested that she use mouthwash and brush her teeth because I didn't like the tobacco. Okay, anyway, fellas, Ryan, I gotta always include a WWE note. The WWE was at it again Thursday as they released more roster cuts now coming from their developmental brand NXT. Let's see, WWE grew, and Ryan has decided to kick off the new year in the worst way possible as they release the likes of William Regal, Road Dogg, Timothy Thatcher, Danny Burch, Allison Danger, and Ace Steel, along with writer Ryan Katz. According to FightfulSelect.com, WWE's latest slew of releases were seemingly done in order to remove employees hired by Paul Levesque, Triple H. The WWE released the following statement: with the continued evolution of NXT 2.0, we've decided to part ways with some of the staff based in our performance center. Many of these folks were direct Triple H hires, with the exception being of Allison Danger. WWE officials, according to the article, didn't deny this off the record and even said related so much in their statement. Over 90 talents now, Gru, have been released by the WWE in the past year or so. WWE is determined to release as many talents and members of their staff so they can at this point in time, and it's highly unlikely that they will stop anytime soon. Unfortunately, we have to see who will be next on the chopping block. I don't know if Ryan, I never really asked Ryan too much. We're WWE guys, but I'll throw it to Gru. Another round of cuts, NXT, specifically perhaps Triple H guys and gals.
Well, at this point, nothing surprises me. I don't understand it. I wish they'd be a little more transparent with the fans, because now all fans can do is speculate. You know, we could be watching our favorites one week and then just hear, oh, by the way, they're gone. No reason, no nothing, just gone, which they have the right to do, but it's not very fan-friendly. You know, like, they fired Samoa Joe again. William Regal, even though he's behind the scenes, he's been with them for over 20 years. Same with Road Dogg. But on-screen talent, like going back like to Keith Lee and people like that who really had their fan base. I don't know. They're up to something. I don't know what it is, but they're up to something, and it's a little frustrating, I have to say.
So to give some background, I think the WWE World Wrestling Entertainment has a new CEO, Nick Khan, who comes from the entertainment industry. I think he's a Hollywood guy, and they have competing wrestling companies. But I think really what's happened, Gru, and I guess Ryan could think about it in business terms. They've released so many people now; they've flooded the market, and it's not really impacted their overall business and business share. Meaning, some of these guys and girls have been hired by competing wrestling companies. It hasn't changed the ratings, hasn't changed the market share, hasn't changed their bottom line. It's only increased their bottom line. They're a publicly traded company. They have to answer to shareholders, and I think they're trying to position themselves in their minds as the most healthy financially. But I think really what's happened is they've released big names, quote unquote, in the wrestling world, and it's not changed anything. And they're not afraid now to release anybody anymore, because they seem to not really impact ratings or impact their bottom line.
That's a very good point. Like, I didn't look at it from that perspective. And I guess, they're saying to themselves, listen, if we don't have to spend this kind of money, why are we spending it? That certainly makes sense. But again, you also don't want to alienate your fans. So you really have to, think about what you're doing, but what you're saying from a business perspective absolutely makes sense. So
what I find interesting is that behind the scenes, these articles are talking about that it's specifically targeted Triple H guys. Now, Triple H is Paul Levesque. He's going to be a WWE Hall of Famer. He's Vince McMahon's son-in-law. He's also out of the scene right now because he just had heart surgery. And I wonder behind the scenes what's the interesting piece is, and I do feel bad people lose their job, but it's like kind of like a soap opera, like family machinations. Like, I wonder really if Vince and Nick Khan are trying to X out his son-in-law's hires for the company. That I find to be the most, I don't know if interesting. Again, I feel terrible people lose their job. But that's the part that I find somewhat interesting about this little piece.
Nick Khan is like the Marcy Turk of the WWE.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. But, anyway.
Well, hopefully, hopefully it won't change things.
I'll just ask Ryan. Ryan, you a fan combat sports, anything like that? We like WWE. We talk occasionally about UFC, interrelated. Anything you want to comment about that?
I don't watch any wrestling anymore. I know. Well, it's okay. I enjoy.
You did a top 10 podcast on the like worst of the best.
No,
you did the wrestlers.
Yes, you did. I remember seeing that and listening to a piece of that.
Yes, I said I don't watch anymore. However, of course, in the 80s, I was a huge fan. I stayed up late watching Saturday Night's Main Event back when.
So did we.
Yeah, and I know you guys. You guys have we have very similar pasts. But then I stopped watching it when I think after I hit puberty. But then
I thought he was going to say when he had children, but no, he went. He stuck the dagger in even further right there.
I feel
touche.
This is like, I feel like the basement of a caste system right now. Like, I am like my knuckle is dragging to the ground. I am just. Go ahead. I'm only going to play with you.
But then the Attitude Era happened, and I had a friend who like swore by. He's like, no, you don't understand. You got to watch this. It's so much fun. I'm like, oh, come on. Like I said to him probably at the time, I stopped watching 10, 15 years ago. I'm in my 20s now. Why am I watching wrestling?
Oh my God!
But he got me onto it. And I watched The Rock and Steve Austin, all that stuff, and I love that 3-year run there, the Monday Night Wars. Yeah. I loved it, and so I'm not going to lie to you. Once I embraced the entertainment factor and not the worrying about the outcome, I loved it as an entertainment show. So absolutely, when Hollywood Hogan came in, so I loved that. Was it 3-5 year run of just that Mega Nitro and the Wars and all that? I watched both. I loved both. I loved Goldberg. I loved it all. So, but then I just stopped again once the Attitude Era ended. However it ended, it just did its natural decline. The stars just don't. They don't have the same charisma that those Austin days are over. The Rock days are over. It's just not the same.
And it's very funny you mention that, because I think, and I don't want to get on an extended wrestling rant, but I think that's the key right there, Gru. We measure everything against that Attitude Era, and it's never going to be replicated again.
No.
And not only is it never going to be replicated, I don't think it's ever going to become close, because of so many different entertainment avenues now for the fans. And so I think wrestling is always really hurt by everything is going to be measured back to the numbers, the rating, and the heights of the popularity of the Attitude Era, and it's never going to come close again.
I don't think so.
And I will say, I love those. I love being entertained by it, and I really, really quite enjoy the behind the scenes stuff. So I watched the Dark Side of the Ring. I've read the biographies by Austin, by Foley. What was it? The Rock. I read them all, and so I love the behind the scenes stuff. I find the whole behind the scenes stuff, the screw job in Montreal. I find all that very fascinating. So the real life stories behind the ring is fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
I can watch documentary after documentary. So I'm a huge WWE mark in my own ways. I just don't watch the current product, but I love the history, and I'm fascinated by Vince McMahon, fascinated by the drama, everything but Beyond the Mat's incredible documentary. I find all of that fascinating. So
oddly enough,
apparently, I'm sorry. Go
well, I was just going to say, oddly enough, like right now, maybe you'll agree or disagree, Evan, but right now, the line has never been thinner between real life and what's going on in the ring, like on their product. It's definitely not the same level of stardom, definitely not the same level of product, but like there's very little difference between like people are playing their real life frustrations out on live TV more often than not these days. Do you agree with that, Evan? More than before. Definitely more than in the past.
Well, what I would say, listening to your comments, would be that WWE is pretty nimble, and they're quick to jump upon real life scenarios if they feel it's going to benefit them on the entertainment side. So, for example, Roman Reigns went down for the count for COVID. So, of course, on Monday Night Raw, there, Paul Heyman's out there, and they're talking about how he's weak with COVID. So they will, if it benefits them, exploit real life scenarios like Edge and Matt Hardy and Lita, relationship. Yeah. I mean, they will exploit that from time to time. I think obviously, what Andrew's talking about in wrestling terms would be kayfabe, and I think it helped to usher in, like Ryan said, once I dealt with the fact that it's gimmicked, the outcomes are predetermined. I love the entertainment aspect of it, and certainly we've changed too. Because when we were little kids, I'd run into the house crying, and I'll get lost, and my parents would be like, "Shut up and go to your room." And then I'd say, "Mom, give me a tongue kiss," and then my dad was like, "We're getting divorced." Anyway, but I do think that stuff has hurt. There's no protection in wrestling. It's for another discussion. But, maybe someday there'll be a big card somewhere in Canada. We can go up Ukraine, and then we could meet up with Ryan and out in Canada and have a fun Canadian jaunt, so to speak.
Not during the winter.
Yes, during the winter. All right, fellas, just a quick last hitter. Last Thursday night, I caught on ESPN a fun night of basketball. The Knicks were at Madison Square Garden versus the Boston Celtics. The Knicks have a pretty big star player. His name is Julius Randle. He had an outstanding season last year. He got a very, very lucrative contract, and he's not having a great year this year. Fans are starting to turn on him, which resulted in some tense moments at Madison Square Garden. Julius Randle was not pleased with the fans. He had a good game. He struggled. He scored a basket. The fans cheered him, and Randle gave a thumbs down as he was running down the floor. According to TMZ, after the game, Randle was confronted by reporters about the thumbs down gesture, and it turns out he was telling the audience to shut the F up. Randle was really annoyed by the supporters, and he expressed his discontent by saying, quote, F, in the press conference after the game, "I really don't give an F what anybody has to say, to be honest. I'm out there playing. Nobody knows the game out there better than I do compared to what everybody has to say, so I really don't give an S. I just go out there and play." Fellas, we've seen that whole thumbs down thing from athletes before, especially in New York with Javi Baez, letting Met fans know about how he feels. Fellas, any thoughts about athletes giving is there a thumbs down for athletes giving a thumbs down?
Yes, in my opinion. You're a professional. Everybody who puts themselves out there has to be prepared to deal with the fact that sometimes they're going to love you and sometimes they're going to hate you. That's Babe Ruth got booed, best baseball player who ever lived. They all get booed for whatever at various times, and I think it speaks to the childishness of this generation. I mean, what? He's in his how old is he? 20s?
Probably in his late 20s.
Late 20s. All right. Well, guess what? Everybody now has feelings, and everybody gets their feelings hurt and has to make a big thing about it. And he forgets the other guy too on the Mets. They forget that the fans pay money to see what they want to see, and if they don't get what they want, they have the right to express verbally how they feel. Good for them. To go on live television, or to even do that, to tell the fans to go fuck themselves, I'm not sure if I'm upper management, I'm not sure if I'm liking that. But that's just
Ryan,
me.
Any thoughts?
Well, I just think back of the days of the Iron Sheik when he was coming up to the ring.
He actually said America.
Yes! And we ate it up. It up.
I guess I'm on the fence a little bit about all this stuff. I think everyone should just calm down. I mean, if the athlete wants to, I guess it's per team. So if the team says don't act this way towards the crowd when you get antagonized by the crowd, then don't act that way. That's your job. Every job has, like you guys in your jobs, you probably have a decorum of behavior that you have to follow. It just comes with the territory of how you're hired. So it doesn't matter what your feelings are on the matter. If your employer tells you that you're not allowed to behave a certain way, then just don't do it. Now, if they're allowed to behave that way or there's no rules against them, then that's just on his own person, like maybe he won't be picked for the next Nike ad or the next cover of the video game system game or whatever it is. But if it's not against his job to be to do a thumbs down back to the crowd, then some people kind of like that personality in the game. Some people like it when you get that little bit of a heel personality from athletes. And so I don't know. I guess I'm on the fence a little bit. Like, if it's not breaking your contract and your job, then whatever. The fans can deal with it. The public can deal with it. You don't have to like them. Or her, or whoever's doing that behavior. You don't have to like them, but if they're not really hurting anyone, they're just expressing their hatred back to the crowd, and so be it, whatever.
Yeah, I hear you. I think you got to have tough skin, thick skin,
Sure.
especially if you're in New York.
Sure.
It's the biggest media market in the world, and it's just the vitriol, F the fan. I feel like since I feel like since the mid 2000s, there's a very sort of antagonistic relationship with fans and athletes and performers. We've even talked about Gru and the WWE, people jumping the rail, tackling.
Right.
It's just
that's not allowed. That's what I'm getting at. Like, don't break the rules. But if you don't want to be a liked personality, then you're just going to create your own personality. That's what I'm getting at.
I think when Julius Randle case, he had a really good year last year. He got a mega lucrative contract from the Knicks. He's not living up to it. The fans are letting him know, which I agree with Andrew. They have the right to let him know.
Sure.
And I guess the thumbs down, per se, I don't have too much of a problem with. But afterwards, fans shut the F up. And it's very, very antagonistic.
It's violent talk, actually. It's very, it's aggressive talk. Yeah, I wouldn't say that, but that's just me. But I'm also not an athlete being booed by people. I don't know.
Gru, did the Mets reach out to Javi Baez and tell him, chill? I thought I read where the Mets actually kind of maybe intervened and spoke to him and said,
I'm not sure, but he's not a Met anymore. So,
true. Okay.
Yeah, I would recommend chilling out, of course. Yeah, chill out. Yeah.
Yes, chill out, everybody.
Let the fan, yeah, you said it.
All right.
Go ahead.
Let's move on. Today's Nothing Worthwhile podcast. This is the night. It's brought to you by New Youth Life Center. New Youth Life Center is growing. Maria's excited to announce they have moved to a new location. Check them out in Phoenix, 4515 North 16th Street, Suite 105. Phoenix AZ 85016. Give Maria a call at 602-274-0068. Again, check out their website at www.newlifecenters.com. Begin a new you, life-changing solutions tailored to your goals. Fellas, This Is the Night is a 2021 straight-to-streamer. A Netflix, specifically for Netflix, that was written, directed by James DeMonco. For those who do not know, James DeMonco was born in 1969 in Brooklyn, New York. James is a writer and producer known for the Purge franchise. He did The Purge Anarchy 2014, The Purge Election Year 2016, and The First Purge 2018. Fellas, any familiarity with the Purge franchise or any thoughts?
Yeah, it's an interesting series. I haven't seen them all. I think I've seen the first couple. And so when I saw that he created the Purge franchise and directed them and wrote them, I found it kind of intriguing, considering the content of the movie that we watched. It's more of a heartfelt movie compared to The Purge. So, but I'll save my thoughts for the movie when we get to it. But yeah, so I found it interesting that his background was kind of in with the Purge as a franchise. They're fun films. I get the concept's kind of fun. It gets boring after a while. I don't think I need to watch a TV series on it and what that's been created and more than a few movies. But it's kind of a fun idea. But yeah, so he's got a creative mind at the very least, and good for his success, because that's a very successful movie franchise.
I think I agree.
Are you familiar with The Purge?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much I echo Ryan's thoughts. I haven't seen any of them, which is surprising because I do think it's a really cool premise, especially like the genesis of it. But no, I haven't seen them. That's a great question. It's a great question. Maybe just by the time I decided I was interested in it, there were already too many of them, and I got overwhelmed. How many of them are there? Like 4 or 5 at this point, maybe even
4
more.
or 5, I think.
Yeah, it's like the Saw. It's like the Saw franchise. It's like it's already too much to even start. But that doesn't mean I won't. But when looking at this movie, I was like, yeah, this is a guy who has he's got a successful franchise under his belt, some money makers. Now he can go make the movies that he wants to make, like the personal ones, and that's I think this is definitely in that realm. But yeah, I should watch The Purge, at least the first one. I own it, for Christ's sake. I really do. I actually have it.
Wow.
I actually have it. I don't even remember buying it, but I know I have it, so I should watch it. But
I like the first one. The subsequent ones, I think that's probably how he connected with Frank Grillo for this movie, because I know Frank Grillo is a kind of a recurring character in the subsequent Purge movies. The only thing I thought about it was, we've talked about before, perhaps Ryan could even comment, it's, I don't know if I call it fun, but it's certainly a dystopian view of the future, and we've talked about how that's been mined in so many movies and so many franchises, like this sort of bleak view of the future, and anyway, we've talked about it.
No,
I guess we have.
Well, it's good though. I agree. It speaks to how he feels humans might end up being. The idea, for those who don't know, the Purge is basically, I guess, there's one night a year where crime is allowed. So
murder, murder,
murder, and or isn't it all crime, or is it just
it's all crime,
So you get one night to let loose, and it's a, quite frankly, to me, it's a morally gross concept. However, it makes for an entertaining film.
Yeah.
So I guess people like Antonio Brown or the fans or against whoever, they can go murder their star athletes, I guess.
I mean, that's sort of like our view when we had WWE pay-per-views. It was like one day a month to go nuts and murder.
Well, let me ask you guys a question now, because you guys have each seen at least one of the Purge movies, and This Is the Night. Do you see a style? I'm not asking you to comment on the movie yet. I'm just asking you, do you see a comparison in filmmaking? Do you look at This Is the Night and say, wow, that's a completely different feel or anything, or can you see some connectivity?
I'll take that first. I've seen 2 or 3 of The Purge, and this feels like a completely different movie to me.
Okay.
I don't know, Ryan, your thoughts?
I agree, and I think that's intentional.
Good.
I mean, obviously, the guy's probably trying to spin it to something a little bit different. Fellas, there's not a whole heck of a lot on This Is the Night. It's listed as a comedy drama, rated R for language, drug use, and teen drinking. What has made This Is the Night somewhat more relevant than the typical streamer is that the movie references Rocky III quite a bit, as the plot of the movie revolves around the first day that Rocky III comes out in the theaters. Just what the world needs, fellas, a Rocky III homage. When you began your research or or hearing about the movie, any thoughts initially on, wow, there's a movie that's basically about a family going to see Rocky III?
Yeah, I heard about this film when it first was being announced that it was going to stream on Netflix or wherever it streamed. It actually wasn't on my Canadian Netflix, so I had to rent it.
Wow.
So you guys owe me $8 Canadian. But yeah, actually, I had to rent it on YouTube. Unfortunately, the first thing I checked was the Canadian, because you guys talked about being on Netflix, but it's not on Netflix here in Canada. But that's okay. So I was intrigued by the idea. It didn't scream out to me that I have to see this necessarily, and I probably wouldn't have seen this just yet, or maybe ever, which is odd considering I'm such a huge Rocky fan. But it'd be like saying, if you're a Star Wars fan and someone's saying, "Oh, there's a movie based on Empire Strikes Back the night of the release," and I didn't know how much of Rocky would fit into the film or how much of it would be drawn from. And yeah, let's just now start talking about the film. I guess it draws from that is the arc, that's the backbone of the film. Is all the characters either talk about the film and or draw from the film choices they make in the film. So this is the Rocky III is the spirit of the film.
Great. What are your thoughts?
Yes, I mean, I agree. I think that I didn't know it existed until you told me we were doing a podcast on it. So I'm surprised because I'm a huge Rocky fan, anything and everything. And if I had known, I would have seen. This is the kind of movie I would have seen in the theater if I knew if it was released. So that's why I'm surprised I didn't know about it. Because it is something that I really do like. I remember my experiences seeing these movies in the theater when I was younger, and a movie about that would interest me in a second. So I would have gone. Yes. I definitely would have gone.
Yes, Andrew. Our podcast is a collaborative effort. I merely suggested. I thought this would be interesting.
It is.
Before we get to the plot, though, let me go over the pretty big cast for This Is the Night. Bobby Cannavale as Frank Grillo as Dad Vincent, Naomi Watts as Mother Marie, Lucius Hoyas as Tony, River Alexander as Dove, Madeline Klein as Sophia, Steve Littman as Santo, John Howard King as Christian, oldest son Christian, Constantine Rasuli as Raph, the handsome mailman, and Method Man as Lewis. And so actually, I just real briefly, and I'll throw it to you guys, any thoughts? I thought for a straight-to-streamer, pretty impressive cast for like a straight-to-streamer. You don't typically see, there's a couple of semi-big name. I mean, Naomi Watts and Bobby Cannavale and Frank Grillo, even for that matter. Those are pretty big names for a straight-to-streamer.
How familiar are you with Frank Grillo's acting or any of his roles in movies and TV shows?
What I would say is he does a lot of... Frank Grillo could be a guy you could put on the last of the action heroes eventually as like maybe a next generation guy, because he's done a lot. I mean, I'm familiar to some extent. He's done a lot of... He's been in one or two fairly big movies, mostly smaller roles. He was in the MCU. He was in one of the Captain America movies as one of the villains briefly. He's done some semi-big stuff. He was in the Skyline sequel, which was kind of a popular cult sort of science fiction, sort of straight-to-streamer.
Did you ever see the TV show, 3 seasons long, canceled too early, incredible series called Kingdom?
And by the way, somebody did recommend that to me, and I've never watched it, but somebody else did recommend that to me.
And you guys are UFC fanatics or fighting fanatics?
I'm not.
I am a beginning.
Okay.
I'm starting to watch UFC a bit more.
Take my recommendation for what it's worth, for what you know about me as a viewer of pop culture. It's an incredible show. Frank Grillo, he's actually older than you would suspect, and which kind of makes me sad for him because he's really starting to break out in Hollywood and doing really well for himself. He's already 56.
Okay.
So he looks fantastic. He's in incredible shape, incredible actor. He's got a lot of charisma. I'm a big Grillo fan. My co-host on my Rocky Series podcast, Katie, she's in love with the guy, and rightfully so. He's an incredible charisma on screen, and he seems like a really nice guy in real life. I like him. I just feel not to say bad for him. I mean, he's in Hollywood. He's doing fine, but he's having a late breakout in his career. Like, we're not talking about his name 5 years ago when he was 48. We're talking about it now when he's 53 or 56.
So you're a bit more familiar probably with Frank Grillo. Would this be considered watching this movie? Is this where, or I don't know if he's done this before, it feels like to me in this movie he's toned down the action elements, so to speak, and is trying to give a more pure acting performance. Would you say that about Frank Grillo?
Yeah, and that's why you got to watch. That's why you have to watch Kingdom, because he does both. He is a retired UFC type fighter, MMA fighter, I should say, not UFC, but MMA fighter, and he has 3 sons in that show, and they all have different personalities. And ironically, one of his sons, if we're talking about this one, one of his sons is actually gay in the Kingdom show. So it was actually kind of interesting to watch him kind of react
Shut up, Evan.
to that reaction again. As an actor, he's doing it twice now in his career, about the same time too. Because this movie was filmed in 2018.
Oh, I did not know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
but I think
principal photography was 2018.
So,
I think Andrew just watched this tonight. 30 minutes prior to this podcast. I mean, we spoke on Thursday for our pre-production. He's like, I haven't watched it yet.
I watched 3/4 of it last night.
I watched it 3 times already.
I watched 3/4 of it last night and finished it this morning. But
I am so proud of you. I'm so disgusted.
It's been a long week. I think this movie. Well, we say straight to streamer. It's not a Netflix movie though; it's Universal. I think it was filmed to be in the theater, but it's one of those. It's one of those that got hurt by COVID. Isn't that possible?
That's exactly what happened. Yes.
Really? I'd like someone to verify that, because I thought it was a Netflix. Netflix purchased it.
No, that's why it's not. That's why it's not in Canada, because every Netflix purchased movie is available in all countries. Because if it's a Netflix product, it's available in all. There's no country issues. It's just each country has their own, I don't know how to say it, contracts with whatever company owns the film. Like Netflix doesn't control that, but if it's a Netflix original or you're guaranteed to have that whether you're in Japan, Norway,
it's a distribution thing. It's a distribution thing.
Exactly. Right? So
yeah.
Note to self: never have Gru and Ryan on the podcast ever again. Well, fellas, thank you for debunking my research. But nonetheless, listen. The plot synopsis simply reads: in 1982, a family must confront its greatest challenges, and the family realizes that the only way to live is like there's no tomorrow. Look, fellas, I'm going to go over the plot a little bit. Feel free to jump in. I have, a couple of different things. I wrote a lot of notes about the plot. Obviously, feel free to jump in. I don't really have breaks like I normally would where I might ask Gru a question. I just have the plot. Obviously, to me, there's three storylines that revolve around the movie. You have Tony, Albie, and Dove, the kids. They go to see Rocky 3. Tony is framed for calling Rocky a pussy. And then they have to really, in a sense, survive the night in Staten Island as different groups and come after them, all the while Tony is trying to reunite with this young lady that he kind of has the hots for. Second storyline, older brother Christian and mother Marie come to grips with their lives and perhaps the changes needed to live a fuller, more happy, developed life. And of course, the third storyline was, Father Vincent, played by Frank Grillo. He's trying to hold on to his restaurant/catering hall, while dealing with the childhood rival, top thug, local thug, Frank LaRocca, played by Bobby Cannavale, and his henchman, played by Cliff Method Man Smith. So the three storylines converge around the opening night of 1982 of Rocky III, as this one, Italian-American Staten Island family gets completely geared to see the film. Now, what I will say is, and Andrew did mention this, I did think the movie did a really good job of capturing the exuberance of that time, like in the 80s, seeing like an action flick, like a top star, and the fan devotion that, like, let's say the Rocky franchise had. And I do think it does capture pretty well, sort of that innocent time where you went to the movies like super excited, and perhaps a franchise or an individual actor, could carry a movie, and you believed in the heroes that were presented on film.
Yeah, they did a great job. They did a great job with that, and it took me back. Granted, I was 8 or 9 when Rocky 3 came out, but it was actually the first Rocky movie I saw in the theaters. It was Rocky 3, and I've seen everyone since, and in the theaters, I should say. And it reminded me of my childhood. The main actors or the characters, the three boys, they're older than I would have been at that time. However, I remember the feeling of being excited going to the theaters, especially a franchise thing or whatever it was. Back when movies were an event, they're not events anymore, which is sad. They're big and they're boisterous and they're huge and the CGI is incredible. Some are actually good, but I miss movies being an event. I miss you basically you planned your whole day around going to the movies. It was a whole day of planning, especially when you're a teenager, when you had to catch the bus to go downtown or whatever it is. There's no online ticket purchasing. You had to line up. Yeah, there's something novel about that, and this movie did capture that.
Gru?
I will say it captured that in certain spots. For me, there was really one sequence in the movie that really worked on all cylinders, and that was the actual viewing of the movie. The way they sort of just had the cameras going around the audience without showing 1 second of the actual movie. They probably couldn't.
They showed it actually. They showed
like a shot of the credits at the end. A little.
They showed a scene of Rocky punching Clubber. They showed. They showed actually. Yes. How they got away with it was, and I'd have to talk to the director because I wondered how they were going to do this. They actually showed the Rocky 3 with the belt title sequence.
On the negative though, on the film.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying is they didn't. But that's what I mean is we were still seeing parts of the movie that the crowd was seeing at the same time. Basically, we were watching a reaction video where it was kind of funny,
right?
Or not funny. It was fun to watch the crowd, like you're saying, Gru, watching the crowd react to Mickey's death, the fun, the fight, all this. It was cool. Or when Apollo enters if you're a Rocky 3 fan, you're totally knowing where the crowd is reacting to what scene. Like, oh, Apollo! Right. That's when Apollo comes in. That's not how you hit it. That kind of stuff. So, like, we Yeah. Anyways, I'm going all over the place. I apologize. But how they got away with it was, I think they inverted the film. They put it upside down. So I think maybe that's how they got away with copyright. Is they shrunk it to really small.
Yes.
And then they made it upside down and blurry. But I wonder if they kind of said, "Hey, do you mind if we, or even if this is an MGM movie? I don't know. Maybe it's an MGM movie, and they allowed them to do it."
It's Universal, but who knows?
Oh,
I'll go with that because I think that's great. And this part really, I remember like sitting in the audience and going like, "Holy shit! Apollo's going to train him! Apollo's going to train him!" Like I remember that and seeing the whole family there, and then when they repeat that at the end, I was like, okay. I have a lot to say about a lot of the stuff in between, but I love how it captured that. I love how it captured that.
Who here was disappointed? Not disappointed is the right word, but I was worried about how they're going to carry the film after the viewing, because I thought the whole movie was about the build-up to watching Rocky 3. So when they watched the film as a family, or as the viewing, it's like 25 minutes into the film out of an hour and 45-minute movie. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh. And because that sequence was fantastic of them watching the film, reacting, the music swell. It was actually a very cool, and it's a scene that I would actually snip and watch again, or even put on YouTube for other people to watch, because it's a really cool moment to watch this crowd reaction to Rocky 3, and they really encapsulated the feeling of being in that movie theater. But I thought, boy, this would have been a good ending. So I remember watching that thinking, this would have been a great way to end the film, because it actually got me, I wouldn't say emotional, but I actually felt emotion. And I'm like, how are they going to end the film now, having done this? And like you said, Gru, they revisit it in a good way. I don't think it's as fun to see, but it's not meant to be, because it's more of a melancholy moment in the film. But they do revisit the film, which I like that they did go back to the film. So again, this movie is really a Rocky 3 tribute.
If I may step in here, you very two hardcore Stallone and fans. I felt vindicated that they actually chose Rocky 3, because if you reference back to our very wonderful, and I love listening to it, our Stallone Awards, I did state that Rocky 3, I don't remember what the award was, but the most underappreciated or underrated Stallone film was Rocky 3, and I've always felt that there was a real gem there, and I loved the storyline. It felt real to me, so I was very, very, very pleased that Rocky 3 was chosen as sort of the center of the film.
The impetus.
Yes,
thank you. The writer-director is James DeMonaco, and he was 14 when Rocky 3 came out. So I think it goes without saying, he's making no bones about it for whatever reason. The same reasons we're all Rocky, especially Gru and I were huge Rocky fans. It's apparent that James is. It's apparent that the writer-director, there's no way you can make this film, whether you think it's a well-done film or not. You can't make this film and do all the little Easter egg stuff, build a whole storyline around a film. This kid, he was a kid. He was 13, 14 when the film comes out, Rocky 3. So obviously this meant a lot to him. I would say there's probably a lot of autobiography in this film that we don't know about. I would assume he took, maybe his first girl crush. Maybe his dad was, what, something to the effect of whatever. Or maybe he was called the F word when he was a boy. Maybe there was things that, so I would suspect that there's some story beats from his personal life that he threw into and made a film out of this. But at the very least, he's a huge Rocky fan, and Rocky meant a lot to him as a teenager.
I agree with everything that you guys have said, and I did put in my notes, Gru. It did remind me even of when you and I were a lot younger, and we'd go to a film and we'd laugh and punch each other. It really was an event, and you got into it. Maybe perhaps time and maybe even a little bit of age. It's just not quite as special anymore.
Yeah, and I just wish the movie was able to take that spirit outside of the movie theater. I just don't. I think they tried real hard. They just didn't. I think it needed a bigger budget. Because one thing they didn't really capture, in my opinion, they didn't capture the 80s. They tried very hard, and it looked like they were trying too hard in many cases. And I think
I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel like it was missing 80%. I hear what you're saying. Maybe like the backdrops. You're right. Maybe the cars are, but I wasn't looking at the cars. I wasn't looking at the building aesthetics. I felt the way the kids were acting and the kind of the words they were saying that we don't say anymore. I think it kind of captured that time very well, being a kid in the 80s. But I hear you. Or just fights happening all the time, or kids. I like the idea that they could just fight the way they do, or like I don't know.
Yeah, the story wise, yes.
Yeah.
Story wise, yes.
Right.
It's really good. It's a really nice story, and really inventive the way they kind of tie. Like, I kept asking myself, how are they going to tie all this together? And I really like the way they did that, writing wise. Unfortunately, I think it could. Like I said, the budget. It had a lot of budget, including, and I hate to say it, but Evan made reference to the cast. Aside from your three leads, Grillo, Cannavale, and Naomi Watts, I think they needed some more pros in there.
You don't think that those guys? You don't think?
No, I don't think. I think they sound. To me, they were reading lines on a page. They didn't really. I don't know. Something didn't like. If you look at Frank Grillo, the best performer.
Frank did a good job.
No, I'm saying. The pros.
Oh,
Frank Grillo. This should make him into a leading man from now on. His performance was excellent. Cannavale's always good, and Naomi Watts was terrific.
Great, yeah.
The scene when Naomi is watching her son now, I guess Christina.
Well, no, I don't know. Can I run? No. Can we go?
Wait, I'm talking about the movie.
You want to jump ahead? Go ahead, Andy Gutierrez. Go ahead, please.
All right, I will pull it back and say Naomi Watts, Frank Grillo, and Bobby Cannavale all did their job and did it incredibly well. Unfortunately, I think it could have used more well-known, recognizable faces with some of the supporting characters, because they really, I just didn't feel it. With most of the.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How many big names are in any movie at one time?
When I say big names, I don't mean movie stars. I mean recognizable character actors. There are thousands of them out there, but some of them are expensive.
Yeah, they were kids though, meaning they're younger actors. So this could have been some of their first roles. So you got to start somewhere. And I think I think the kids did okay. I think the actor kids did okay.
I thought it was a well acted movie. Now I'll get to the content. Let's talk about. I'm sorry. You want to go ahead, Andrew?
No. Go.
Thank you.
Hey, you told us to jump in.
I guess he's regretting that now.
Yeah, hold on. Let me take a sip of my coffee.
Hey, why are you shooting it into your arm? What are you doing?
Oat milk. All right, let's go. Let's talk about the first storyline.
Okay.
After the movie, local thug Santos, in an act of a bully, completely lies, and he states that Tony calls the sacred Rocky character a pussy. And then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. The local film, the manager of the movie theater, the owner, he hustles the guys out of the side exit. They can go home and be safe, but no, Tony convinces his friends, hey, we want to go to Sophia's Sweet 16, played by Madeline Klein. So let me ask, let follow my logistics here. The first sort of storyline arc, how they're going to build action. Young man is accused of calling Rocky a pussy. What'd you think of that first storyline, fellas?
It's a little bit. This is where that. Well, yes, of course it is. Of course it is. This is where you have to put on the movie hat. Like this wouldn't happen in real life. You wouldn't have a whole town, including the police officers.
Right.
You know, not wanting to protect your safety because you called a character on screen. Now I know this is the Italian American area of New York, and this is we're led to believe that this community, they're all just like. If you're not Italian, you're kind of adopted into the Italian family because of your love of Rocky Balboa, and that includes like the Asian gang, right? So if you're a lover of Rocky, you're good to go. So the fact that somebody would dare say, that Rocky is the P word, then you've got the old lady beating you up in the bus, you've got the cops who are dumping you on the side of the road. No one's helping you. You're on your own. But that's just I kind of forgive it a little bit because that's carrying the adventure that the three hobbits have throughout this movie. So that's their adventure. That's why they're on the run. That's why they meet all these cast of characters. But yeah, you have to suspend disbelief at that point, of course. Yes.
Gru?
I thought it was a little forced. I think they could have done something better to give them that arc. But I also think that it didn't need it. The story of those kids, of especially Tony, Anthony, he was in love with the girl. He's got the bully who's his rival, who's also the guy who set him up with the who said that he's the guy who said Rocky was a pussy. I think it works without that thing because the whole movie becomes about standing up to your fears. So he's going to. I love how they do it with the shirt thing. They do it with the girl. I don't think they needed that contrivance of the Rocky is a pussy thing, especially if it doesn't work, and it didn't really work for me.
I mean, do you guys want me? Because there's two other story arcs. Do you want me? Because I have a whole breakdown of the plot. Do we want to just talk about those storylines right through to straight to the end?
However you want to do it. What I
don't have any more to say on that storyline. Really.
Okay. I mean, I agree. I think it's a flimsy sort of premise, and I agree with Gru. Perhaps forced.
It's flimsy and forced, but I forgive it. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it's sort of fun. Always they've done it so many times in movies. It's like. You got to the boys have to get to their destination, and right. Gang like the Warriors. You got different warring factions trying to stop them. You had like you mentioned the Asian gang. You had like the Rocky biker gang apparently that beats each other up so they can go into a theater with bruises. I mean, I thought that was mildly entertaining. I mean, look, then we have the second storyline where mother and oldest son Christopher, played by Jonah Hauer, head home after the exciting night at the movies, and we see that Chris not perhaps, has a fetish for sexy female lingerie, and Mother Marie yearns to be free, and we have that converging storyline there. You both have hinted towards where that storyline takes us. I have a lot of thoughts about this storyline as well. I'll throw it to the group. Chris has got some secrets about his sexuality, and Mom is perhaps not quite happy in this relationship. What you fellas give me your thoughts?
Well, yeah, this is where I would say I got to be careful, but because I don't understand a lot of the journey that people go through with these things, because I don't know, is somebody a transvestite? Is somebody gay? Is somebody both? Is somebody transgendered? I actually don't know, and I'm not even trying to be funny or glib. I'm actually being serious. Like, I don't know what his journey was, but for our listeners, basically it was like, I guess, an older teenage son, maybe he was 16, 17, 18 years old. Yeah, and he likes to put on women's lingerie. People have been doing this for thousands of years. Men have been dressing up in women's clothing. It's not a big deal. Whatever, who cares? But in the 80s, I understand. Of course, this wasn't talked about the way it is today. So this is being written by 2020 lens or 2018 lens when this film was made. So yeah, this is I wouldn't say the force, but this is definitely inserting today's view of this into a 1980s life. I don't know. I think the dad's reaction later on in the film is actually an accurate reaction that somebody would have in that time. And the mother's was actually really well done by Naomi. So I think that interaction was really well done. But the storyline of how quickly in one night, or even just in a couple hours, how he's like puts on a dress that his mother wants him to try on and goes to some ladies' night, dance night for, I guess, cross-dressers. It's never, and I guess they are homosexuals as well. What classification? I don't know what that means, but they don't really say it in the film. But yes, it's men or young boys dressing up as girls who are dancing together, and he's trying to. Even he says in the film though, he doesn't know who he is yet. He's still identifying. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't even say that sees himself as a girl. He still wants to be called Christian. There's no indication. But at the end of the day, I agree with the message of, like, yes, you just have to accept this is your child, love them, accept them. I have kids. If one of them did the same thing, I want them to be happy and safe. Like, you should educate them, be happy and safe, support them so they don't do anything dangerous. And the mother was really good about that. But how quickly it just went from he's throwing a football to going to ladies' night in a dress with makeup on, I was a little confused about how quickly that happened. That's me as a viewer. I was left more confused than he was.
Gru, touchy storyline arc. We'll throw it to you. What'd you think of the Christopher and Mom storyline?
Well, for most of the movie, it seemed like it was from another movie. I didn't see what it had to do with anything. Everything else seemed to be headed in the same direction. And the one thing I will say is the way they tied it up, I really liked, because it fit in with the message of the movie, and that is standing up to what you're afraid of. And what the kid was really afraid of was his father's reaction. You know, what was his father going to say? Naomi Watts was afraid of that too. This storyline, while I agree with everything both of you have said, it did lead to two of my favorite scenes in the movie. Besides when they watch the movie, I thought Naomi Watts, when she sees her son dancing on stage and she starts crying, she's seeing him happy for the first time. She was great in that scene. That's a great performance right there. Yeah. And then at the end, you said it, Ryan, Grillo's performance when he's trying to come to terms with this thing, and when she gets in his face and all of this stuff, great stuff up there. I think in that moment, Grillo and Naomi Watts brought everybody else up to their level. So that was good stuff. But the story in and of itself, I think it would make an interesting movie on its own. It just felt a little misplaced here.
It was rushed. I think it was rushed because this all happens in one night.
Yeah, it needs more time.
Like a story arc. If this is a story arc in a TV drama for a season, then that would make more sense. But it just, that's what I mean. It seems like, holy crap, we got here really fast. We're talking 90 minutes we're doing this. So it just seemed very fast that the journey of this young teenager, it seemed very quick, where in a story arc for a TV drama, it would have made more sense. And then, like you said, the conclusion with the parents was well done. Yeah. So I think we got the beginning and the end very well, but it felt rushed in between, is my opinion. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to take a stab at this.
Yeah, please.
And I'm going to go through it piece by piece, what I liked, what I didn't like, and I want your thoughts. I agree in pieces with what both you said. Obviously, this is like, in our world, the most polarizing sort of storyline. Mom clearly has an indication that she knows something is perhaps, quote-unquote, different about Christopher. Remember now, this is 1982, and the backdrop is Staten Island, Italian-American.
Right.
Andrew and I grew up in Long Island, not too far from Staten Island. I think I could speak a little bit of that time period. Mother is very understanding, very loving. Don't have a problem with that. Mother says to child, hey, let's put on clothes. I have a little problem with that. I don't think that that's really true of how a typical Italian-American mom in 1982 is going to react perhaps to her gay son. Now, I thought it was so well acted. So the sum of its parts, I don't necessarily agree with, but in the entire picture, it was well acted. And that's the one, I had no problem with the young actors. I thought they did a good job. And of course, I thought the actor, Christopher, he's going to react angrily because he's being called out on now perhaps his sexuality. And I think that's true to life. When people are called out about perhaps something that's troublesome or different or stressful, sometimes we react in anger. No problem with that. We see early indications in the movie that perhaps the young man is homosexual. He has a little thing with the handsome mailman. They say hi to each other. They smile. You're getting a sense that perhaps there's something there. Where this goes really off the rails for me is, I just didn't buy, now we're going to dress up together. We're going to go to a gay club, and the mother's going to, be outside, and hey, go ahead, kiss the guy, and then the mother comes in, and I know you guys mentioned where she's crying. That didn't feel real to me to 1982. 1982 was a completely different time, and I understand, Ryan, when you say you put your movie hat on. I couldn't buy into that because it's not even close to how I think how that really might be in 1982. And to the end, now, Frank Grillo gave perhaps the most authentic response because he's being confronted that his oldest son is gay. I mean, he's dropping the F word. He's almost aggressive. I think he pushes his kid. And then the mother does, the mother, which I love the scene because, Andrew, I thought of Daniel Bryan. Yes, 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 yes.
I knew you would say that.
Completely ridiculous. But they do it so well that, and of course he says, all right, Marie, I love you. Things are going to change. And then, next thing you know, they're watching Rocky together as a family. The boys, I had a tough time buying that on any kind of authentic level. And I know Andrew knows that about me. I want some authenticity. It was well acted. So in the sum, I like the acting. I know Naomi Watts is a great actress. I've seen a lot of her stuff, and she does a great job. Grillo's great. The young man is great. I just had a tough time buying the storyline because I think in 1982, that's not how it's going to go down, especially with an Italian-American family.
I think I agree with pretty much everything you said. But I think to Ryan and myself's point, if that was its own movie and it had time to play it out, maybe by that climactic moment we'd accept it. But after 15, 20 minutes of screen time devoted to that story, like Ryan and you said, it just happens too quickly and it doesn't resonate. The only thing that makes it work are the performances, and I agree 100% with that.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Yes, I've worn a dress. Oh, sorry, different question.
I just wanted to ask, did you guys feel it was a force? Perhaps a woke diversity push into this movie?
I got to be careful how I answer this, but I'll just say...
Why do we have to be careful? I mean...
Well, I have to be. What I mean by that...
Well, Andrew and I are both educators, and we work in public school districts.
Yeah, luckily nobody listens to this podcast, so we didn't get in trouble.
We've talked about this before. In movies, sometimes they insert something to kind of get that feel, and you're like, wow, I don't know if this movie really needed that at this point.
So what I mean by say careful, that sounded worse than I meant. What I meant to say is so to answer your question, yes, it was force, but I don't care. Okay. So that's what I mean to say by that. So I have to be careful. So I want to agree. Yes, it was force. Yes, there's an agenda. Yes, the message was loud and clear. Yes. But me, Ryan, I don't give a crap. You want to wear a dress with a wig? I personally don't care, but I understand what's happening in the film. So there's that weird, yes. So the storyline did seem like, you're right, it didn't enhance the movie. It was definitely a message made loud and clear for 2020, 21 audiences, whatever this was written and filmed. Message loud and clear. This is definitely I hate the term woke, but it's definitely this wouldn't have been filmed in 1980. This is a 2020 film. So it was inserted absolutely by the director. Why? I don't know. Maybe he has family members. Maybe he has his own whatever. Maybe he has a message for himself, and maybe he's getting over his own fears of something. Who knows? But yes, the moment because I thought at first it was just going to be the son's just, I would say just gay, but okay, it's a gay son. But the fact they went full on wow, it's almost like a transgender message. So that was where I was like, okay, there's something going on here. I don't know what the intention is, but I felt it, but I don't care.
Yeah, I just want to be clear before I throw it to Gru. Growing up in New York, there's a lot of great things about growing up in New York, but it is, even in Long Island, there is a diversity, and my mom was in the clothing business, and I've met. Listen, I have to say it, but we certainly had interaction, and my folks taught me the right way to treat people. And we have, gay folks, and we had as neighbors, members of our family.
Right.
But it's hard for me to buy into 1982 Italian American. The mother's driving him to the club.
Right.
I just had such.
That's what I mean. That was. It doesn't fit. No, you're right. It doesn't fit. That's what I'm getting at. It felt. This doesn't seem like even I, not being from there, I felt like this isn't really happening. This whole scenario doesn't happen in 1982 New York or anywhere. I don't know where this and that many people are showing up, and it's just I can see this event. Here's the thing: I can see this event happening today. I can see this scenario over a longer period of time. Like I said before, not so rushed. I can see a mother taking her son to explore his sexuality in a safe manner. Great in 2022. I don't see it happening 40 years ago. That's why it felt weird.
Gru, get the final word on this storyline.
I've said it definitely feels out of place. However, I didn't feel like it was being forced upon the movie in a woke way. And the only reason I say that is because it takes up too much of the movie. Like if you cut that, if you get rid of that part out, there's no, you're missing a third of the movie. So so the movie becomes too dependent on it. So my feeling is there's got to be some kind of root for it. It did not feel, it just didn't feel that it was put in there just to, satisfy some kind of quota. It didn't feel that way to me. I didn't like it that much for other reasons. Because like we've said, it feels like it doesn't belong because it doesn't really fit in with the narrative of the other stories. But it didn't feel gratuitous, though.
No,
is that the right word? Is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know, but I think you know what I'm saying.
Before you
I don't think it felt gratuitous. It just didn't feel authentic to me.
That's what I mean. That's the word I
1982. And I hear, and Gru's argued with, I hear Ryan saying you got to put on your film viewer hat, but I need something. I need something that just give me 2% off. It just didn't feel, and I've said enough about it.
No, I hear it. But before you move on to the last, because this is the last storyline of the movie. You're about to read the third storyline.
The third.
And I like how we're doing it because we're going to close with the third, I presume, right? So
yes.
Before we move on from Naomi, I've always had. Like I know Gru crushes on about 100 different women per episode.
Hey now, I got you.
So, but Naomi Watts is such a gorgeous woman, and what I love about her, she's 50 during the filming of this film. By the way, she's 50 years old. She's 53 now, but she was 50 when this was filmed. She's aging naturally. You saw the wrinkles. You saw the bit of the sagging in her jawline. I'm like, I wanted to stand up and cheer and say, Naomi, you're aging naturally. I'm sure she does skin creams or whatever, but you can tell if she's had plastic surgery, I wouldn't say it's not good because you're seeing the sags and the jawline and stuff and under her eyes and everything, the crow's feet, it's all there. I just wanted to applaud Naomi for not just being gorgeous her whole life, incredible actress her whole life, but finally carry the torch and aging naturally in Hollywood. It's okay to get old like Betty White. It's okay to be old. And anyways, I just thought she just looked absolutely stunning in this film. And my goodness, 50 years old in this film, she looked absolutely amazing.
Well, I do want to add, I think Naomi needs to see Maria at New Life Center to get some filler, Botox.
I have a question off that. I have a question for both of you off that. Why are you looking at me? Why are you looking at me like I did something wrong?
Go ahead.
My question is, remember 1982, she did not seem like someone from 1982. Like an Italian American mom from 1982 would have the hair out to here. I don't
she looked like Italian American.
She looked like she had a very thick. She put on a very thick accent.
No,
there.
That's true, I guess. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I mean, Andrew said, the look and feel of 1982. I'll give that a little bit of a pass. I agree a little bit more with Ryan on that feel. I thought they it's hard. 1982. You're looking at people that are from 2021 with waxed eyebrows and hair. So it's tough to recreate that feel. Now to her storyline, like trying to bust out and have a more fulfilling life with her pretty rigid Italian husband, I bought into that piece a little bit more. I think she's such a great actress. She's done a ton of work. Let's segue into that final storyline arc, which you have Father Vincent. He owns the restaurant catering hall. He's trying to get a bank loan to keep his restaurant catering hall afloat, and if not, local crime boss and childhood rival Frank, played by Bobby Cannavale, will take over his catering hall. We see that Frank, the local crime boss, may have a wee bit of a racism issue as he takes no expense in demeaning his top henchman, Lewis, played by the great Method Man, and we see that storyline develop throughout the film to where at the very end, a la Rocky V style, we literally get a street fight in the restaurant between Vincent and Frank. I'll throw it to the group. Thoughts about that final storyline? Dad trying to hold on to his restaurant catering hall and his relationship with Frank, the local crime boss, played by Bobby Cannavale. Fellas.
Well, the crime boss, Frank. And what's Frank Grill's name in the movie? Just so we get the two Franks.
Vincent.
So Vincent is married to Naomi Watts' character.
Right.
But we know that Frank the mob boss and her were an item, but she chose Frank to, it's like the old adage, she screwed the crime boss back in high school, but she marries the good guy Frank for the lifelong, Vincent for the lifelong life of marriage with children. So that's a storyline as well. There's some jealousy with Naomi, which is understandable. Lastly, regarding Method Man, he's kind of like the bodyguard henchman for the mob boss, and this is very interesting. Did you catch this? The derogatory comment that is done towards Method Man from
yes,
yeah, this happens in Rocky 3 as well.
Paulie must have said it.
No. It was only done between Clubber and Apollo. He was called Boy.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like this was referenced on one of your I believe it came up one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, don't turn your back on me, boy.
I'm going to crucify him. You next.
So that was so now I'm not black, and I don't have black friends because there's just not very many here in Victoria. We just don't have a lot of we have a lot of other nations here, but we just don't have a lot of representation of the black community here in British Columbia, Canada, where I'm from anyway. So I don't know what derogatory comments are amongst their community outside of what I see in film and TV. So I am ignorant on that, but what I've gathered from, at least from the Rocky films, is the word boy to I guess a black man is derogatory because it's really spelled out here. So
it's
it was
a slave term.
Okay, all right, so that's why. Okay, yeah. So there you go. So I had my suspicions. I guess I could have Googled it, but I never did. But then it's confirmed in this film. This mob boss calls it to him twice, and then of course Method Man's character says that is the last time you call me boy. So it really is a derogatory term.
Gru, what'd you think of that storyline?
Well, this was the best story in the movie.
Yeah.
And it made me wish, because think about it. Think about the story in and of itself. Take the Rocky stuff out of it. You've got two childhood friends. One of them, there's a girl in the middle, and then they grow up. One of them's it's almost like a Bronx Tale. One of them's a hardworking family man. The other one is a mob boss, and you have this whole love triangle thing going on. But unfortunately, because it had to share so much time with the other stories that didn't work quite as well, this one doesn't work that well either because there's not enough time spent on it. However, like the other one, Bobby Cannavale and Frank Grillo make it work because of their performances. And Method Man. Method Man does a great job in the little he's given to do. And by the way, I have a question. Maybe I missed something. What was he going in there to do at the end? Like, if he wasn't going to kill him or hurt him, why would he be afraid of the gun?
I think he makes him dance. He says he makes him dance.
Is that? Well, I know he said that. I didn't know if that's what he meant.
So I think he's just shooting at the ground and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to reveal himself to be like an FBI agent or something. That's what I was waiting for. But
I thought actually when he comes in and says that's the last time you call me boy, I thought he was going to come in wearing a dress, but that was
Method Man. I highly doubt it. I agree with Gru. I thought this was, the most sound or the most realistic storyline. Obviously, everybody sort of converges at the end on the final fight between the two guys. I mean, I think obviously straight up, I'm picking Frank Grillo to kick Bobby Cannavale's ass, but they play it out pretty well. And then, of course, you have sort of that whole little racism thing sort of tie in when I think even Method Man references Apollo Creed, like I'm going to Creed.
Yeah,
he mentions Apollo
That's
Creed
what he
at the
said.
very end,
he does.
Right before he makes him, shoot. And of course, Tony sees Tony. It's hard, but I guess Frank Grillo's character, is at least Tony kind of thinks of his dad as kind of a wimp. He's this big muscular guy, and he's sort of proud that his dad, sticks up to.
Yeah, he's now turned into Marty McFly's father in Back to the Future. He's able to stand up to the bully after all these years.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what happened. He's not afraid anymore. He's not afraid to say, he's got nothing left to lose. The business has been going to be taken away from him. So this guy can't really lord anything over him anymore. Other than the fact that Bobby's character did insinuate that had we not had a history, that he would be dead.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah. So
it was definitely the most interesting, and introspective part of the thing.
And I think the reason why we enjoyed it so much, again, I think Frank is a great leading man, charismatic man, and like this shows you that we just wanted to see more of Frank too. I think his acting is that good. I think you got to watch Kingdom, guys. You will not get sick of Frank Grillo's acting. Watch Kingdom. Watch the first 5 episodes. If you're not hooked, then I can't help you. I'm
going to give it a shot. I think, obviously the movie kind of, converges from there. You sort of, Frank gets confronted with, and even Tony. Tony sees, the brother's sexuality. They kind of, I thought, again, Naomi Watts gives a great performance, very dramatic, and he's like, yeah, okay, honey. I've seen the error of my ways. I don't know if I was buying that whole sort of neat wrap-up at the end of the movie, and then obviously the movie finishes with, which was kind of cute, a final, they go to like a midnight showing of Rocky
No, it
3.
was the 2 a.m. It was the 2 a.m. showing, and that was a payoff. That's why I liked it so much. It was because they had talked about it earlier in the movie.
That's why the 2 a.m. wasn't sold out yet.
Yeah.
So that's why they were able to get the 2 a.m. showing, which makes sense. So it happened all in one night. So the idea is it still all happens in, from 8 in the morning until 2 the following morning. So like a 20-hour period of time has passed in this film. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's how the Big Brother can go to the movie theater with his wig and eyeliner and the full makeup on.
Maybe they're watching the Rocky Horror Picture Show, not Rocky 3.
They do show. Well, I mean, they do show. Obviously, there's empty seats, so they're showing that the 2 a.m. viewing. As Gru has corrected me yet again. Let me make a second check mark. That there were empty seats. So, well, before I get sort of. Your overall review, I don't know if you guys are aware. I mean, I didn't have on my notes the different things with the critics, but I'm looking at my phone real quick. 13% from Rotten Tomatoes.
Oof. Yeah, that's a little harsh. It's a little harsh.
Richard Roper, Chicago Sun-Times, an unconvincing, contrived, and rarely reliable misfire. RogerEbert.com, there are times when one might mistake it for an especially clever and relentlessly deadpan satire of the type of film it's desperately trying to evolve.
That's a lot harsh too.
And let me try to find one that's. I'll give you the Movie Nation. The picture wears its contrivances like gold stars affixed to its first-time screenwriter's memoir movie attempt in film school. 1.5 out of 4 stars. So before I get, let's say, your final review, I just wanted to add, I had handwritten notes. What do you think of it purely as just an homage to Rocky 3? Sort of the Rocky 3 connection to the film.
Well, I'll tie that in with my final review then. If that's,
go ahead.
Yeah, because I think they go hand in hand. So, I guess I probably enjoyed it. Okay, yes, that's how I review this film. Meaning, if you're not a Rocky fanatic or a Rocky 3 fanatic, and if, for example, I show this to my wife who's seen the Rocky films, but I don't even think she could tell you anything about them. She's watched them with me once. That's it. So if I showed her this film, I don't think she would enjoy it maybe as much as me or a non-Rocky fan. So I get the reviews as a film. It's probably we get it. It's kind of like a hard PG-13 soft R rating Wonder Years film. Like I get it. It's nothing revolutionary. It's not badly acted. It's a fun little romp, but it's nothing special. But as a Rocky fan, I kind of really dug it a little bit more than I would have had I not been a Rocky fan. So you have to look at it as if you're a Rocky fan, see this movie. Because it's kind of fun to live through the life of what it might have been like to be a Rocky fan through the family's eyes, through their family drama, and how it all ties together at the end, again, as a Rocky fan, to live like there's no tomorrow, because we don't see tomorrow in the film. It's one day, and you fight your fears, and you face your fears, you stand up to the bullies. So, contrived, yeah. Am I going to watch it again? No. Is it 1 out of 4 that's harsh? Come on. That's right. Yeah, that's a harsh review, but that's just me. I'm glad I watched it, and I'm glad I got to be on here to talk about it with you guys.
Andrew, what did you think about the movie?
Are we doing a rating system?
Just give. Well, you can. You can give us. Let's make it special.
I personally hate rating systems. Because I feel like no offense. This is for all rate. Because I feel like it's just how I felt. Right. This is how I felt watching. I don't know how to numerically place that. I'm glad I watched it, but I don't think I'll ever see it again.
Okay, fair enough. You want to take a step?
Yeah, I'll work backwards. There's no reason for me to really watch it again. And I agree with most of what you said, except for one thing. I do not think you have to be a huge Rocky fan to appreciate it, because I think, in fact, I don't think there was enough Rocky stuff in it as far as for my taste, but I'm a huge Rocky fan. It's not about Rocky 3. It's about people's reaction to it. It could have been any movie. It could have been Star Wars. It could have been Empire Strikes Back, Facing Your Fears, whatever. The message of the movie had to line up with whatever movie they were going to see. I do think it is a tribute to that experience, going to see a Rocky movie. You know, there's really no other series that draws that kind of live sporting event kind of feel in a movie theater than Rocky, unless I'm missing something. So I sort of disagree with you on that point. Other than that, it's definitely not rewatchable. I think I'd love for this guy, DeMonico's his name, the director.
Yes,
I would love for him to be given another $15-20 million and do like Rocky 4, because I think there's a place that he was trying to get to, and it just didn't get there for whatever reason. It just didn't feel right. With that being said, there's enough to enjoy to give it, like, I would say like a 2.5. If it was a star review, I'd give it like 2.5. Not good, but not bad. So like right in the middle there.
Rating.
But like right in the middle there.
That's a fair number.
All right, fellas, I'll take a stab. Like I said, I discovered this while bedridden with the flu, and let me give you what I liked. There's a good look to the movie. It's well acted. I agree with Andy. A Rocky 3 homage to Rocky 3, perhaps a little bit. I think I agree with Andy. It's more about the experience in the 80s, going to a big movie, like, wrapping the whole day around it. It made me think about when I went to go see Cobra. I remember with the kid, friends, and remember seeing the movie theater, the owner of the movie theater, Rockville Center grew, and everyone's so excited, excited being online. What I would dislike, again, we've talked about it, many of these sort of storylines were tough. I'm sitting there and I'm going, oh, are they really going there? Are they really going there? Yet, I agree, and I think everybody can agree, it kept my attention and my interest for the 2 hours that it was.
Yes.
I didn't turn it off. It wasn't because of Rocky 3. The movie kept my interest. So it's weird because I kind of felt like sometimes I criticize Gru lovingly, but when you look at a film and you go, so many problems, yet when I look at the sum to the parts, well, I kind of ravaged many of the parts of the movie, but to the sum, it did keep my attention, and there was an enjoyability there and a bit of a nostalgia. And so actually on my paper, I wrote 2.5 stars, and so I agree with Andy. If we're giving a numerical, no, I'm not probably going to go back and watch this again. I would probably say to somebody, if you're looking for a little bit of a Rocky 3 kind of feel, nostalgia, and you got 2 hours to kill, you could do a lot worse, probably do a lot better. But yeah, I did enjoy the film, and it kept my interest.
That's a really great point. Like, the movie is definitely greater than the sum of its parts, because and just to reference something I said earlier, when I was talking about the weak acting, I was referring to a specific storyline, and that was Anthony's storyline. Him and his friends and the bully, they didn't have chemistry together. And it just didn't work.
Really?
That's what I felt. But I wasn't talking about like Christian and his mother and Naomi Watts. They had chemistry. They worked well together. Grillo and they all did. But the kids, and that's supposed to be, he's the protagonist of this story. No disrespect intended, but I felt like it was it could have been better. And I think if it was better, I think I would have liked the movie better.
I think the third kid was maybe there was I don't know. I have the cast on a different page, but there was a third kid that was a little chubbier. But I thought the interplay between Tony and Dove, like the Jewish kid, it kind of felt like a Jewish kid and an Italian kid, how it would be in the 80s.
I think the writing was good, but the acting just, I don't know. So maybe I will watch it again. Maybe I missed something. I don't know. It just felt, it added to the contrivance to me. That was my only issue, but. It was definitely fun to watch. I definitely enjoyed the experience of watching it. It's a quirky movie, and sometimes I like those.
Let's give our special guest, Mr. Ryan Rebalkin, final word. Any final words on This Is the Night?
Well, I'm just glad I watched it, and I'm glad I watched it and talked to you guys about it. Again, I'll just say, love your show, love your Nothing Worthwhile, love your Van Damme It podcast, and it's a privilege to be here, to be with you guys. To let me in your little inner circle. I appreciate that.
Inner
that
circle. We have an inner triangle here. It's just us two.
Well, Ryan, you are referencing our next show. We will be throwing down in 1 week. I think it will be the 15th. We will return to Van Damme It country. Catch us on the last of the Action Heroes podcast network as Gru and I will cover 1990 Jean-Claude Van Damme's film Lionheart. When the streets are a jungle, there can only be one king. Gru, Lionheart.
I actually have never seen Lionheart, so I'm looking forward to this one. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen every the other ones we've done Kickboxer, Bloodsport, No Retreat, No Surrender. Those three I had seen before. This one I have not. So I'm looking forward to it. I have it ready to go. So I'm definitely looking forward to doing Lionheart for Van Damme It next week. Absolutely.
Okay, Ryan. Any
well,
words?
I love Van Damme, and when I formed the last of the Action Heroes podcast network, I really wanted a Van Damme podcast on there, and there wasn't any out there. To ask to come on to join the network, so one had to be created, and you two were my first choice. I was like, I want because I love your take on stuff in general, but your movie reviews are always well done. And I'm like, I want these guys to give their thoughts. And your guys are, we're not big fans, or we don't know a lot of their movies, is what you told me. I say, no, that's not the point. That's you're still watching a movie and reviewing it. So I don't want a vacuum of fandom. And you guys listen to my show. We not criticize, but we give our criticisms on Sly's films when necessary. And I wanted that same approach on a Van Damme franchise of films, that it's okay to be critical, but also enjoy what's to be enjoyed. And Lionheart, you're going to find your criticisms, but it's a fun film. I saw it in the theaters when I was younger, like I was a teenager. I've been following Van Damme's career since Bloodsport. So I've been a fan of his since his blockbuster Bloodsport, and I love him. I think he's a great guy. I think he's got his own demons, like every other person in this world. But at the end of the day, he's his demons are more self-inflicted. He doesn't cause them to other people. He's actually a good guy, a good cat, and I'm looking forward to your Lionheart review. But I will ask a request. Don't have to say yes, but I would love to be with you on your double impact.
Book it. We'll get you back on. I
have a question. I have a question for Ryan while he's here.
This is how we never end on like most podcasts. They go, "Good night, everybody." This guy. Go ahead. Yes. What is your question?
My question is, while I've got you here to put you on the spot, what do you think is Van Damme's best performance? Not his best movie,
Good night,
his best
act. Good night,
no, well, I'm asking Ryan.
Well, I hope it's a movie you guys do. He in 2007 or 8, he did a film called JCVD.
I've heard of it.
On our list.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
He plays himself, and it actually showcases when he's able to speak in his native tongue, which actually is a lot of actors' issues. So he doesn't have to think about English when he acts. He speaks in his native tongue throughout the whole film, and he acts as himself as a struggling action star, and it's a fantastic raw performance. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Well, I have a question. I have a question specifically for Andrew Gruthius. Andrew, what is the best film in which a older son tries on women's clothing? What's the best film? I just wanted your...
There's a movie I saw recently, actually, called This Is the Night.
Okay, very good. Very good.
I can't think of any off the top of my head right now.
Before we go, how many of you, when they did the camera pan up with the lingerie on, how many of you thought that was Naomi Watts at first?
I raised my hand.
I knew it was the son because if you catch, he interacts with the handsome mailman initially outside in front of the house for a brief second, and you're not really sure about that. But then in the movie theater, they cross paths and they give like a smile that looks beyond like a guy.
I think it was meant to trick you. I think it was meant to trick you because I think we were led to believe that Naomi Watts' character was going to beautify herself too with her husband being like she was finding her own intersexuality.
Yes.
It looked like she was going to hook up with her son. Did you get a vibe like that?
That's next week's episode. Look forward to it.
All right, Andrew. Let's build some momentum. Let's get out of here. Take us out of here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have been Nothing Worthwhile with Moody, Gru, and Ryan. Special guest, thank you so much for coming on with us today, Ryan. It's always a privilege. Next week, we will be taking you down the... What are we doing next week again? Lionheart, Van Dammit, yes. Next week, Van Dammit returns with the great misunderstood classic Lionheart. Followed by, the following week, we are now going to get into very controversial territory. We will be tackling Season 4 of Netflix's own Cobra Kai. That's Season 4, Cobra Kai, 2 weeks. Van Dammit next week. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all for us. Have a wonderful weekend. And 1, 2, 3. Rip 'em.
I love it.
The Monco.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.